We welcome our viewers around the world on a very beautiful and windy day in New York City. And we are at the United Nations headquarters where the Pope, His Holiness Pope Francis just spoke, talked about so many issues that we all are so familiar with, humanity, love. And today I'm here with my co-host Hans. How are you?
I'm doing great. And about yourself?
I'm so excited to be here at the United Nations, which has been like a much anticipated visit from His Holiness Pope Francis, and because this is his first visit to the United States, it has been
Indeed.
what has been an historic visit to the United States. From all his speeches so far, you take away from what he has been saying. One thing that has really resonated with me has been that compassion that we seem to be lost right now in the world. When you see the war around the world with the Syrian, and we will say the rate of poverty in the world has been so high. What do you think? What do you think that the people or the viewers that are watching this today, or the people that have listened or have seen the Pope Francis, what do you think they will take away from all his speeches so far?
His wellness. He's a very down-to-earth Pope that I never seen in my life. And as you can see, and while we was speaking at the Congress yesterday, and put Burma, the Speaker of the House, I think right now he's resigning because he taught his faith as a Catholic not supposed to do those such of toughness politics that has been done for the past 7 years from now or 6 years from now. And right now the Pope touched everybody here in the US, specifically in New York, as a human guy, really decent and down-to-earth Pope. As I mentioned earlier, he is also loving and caring father. And last night at the JAG Park, they well done a tremendous festival concerning the climate change. He need someone to be stop the market. He asked those to stop the hypocrisy of doing politics in such way while people is dying all over the globe. And he's talking also, everyone is here, it's immigrants. As itself, it's a son of immigrants. And it also, he wants us to be touching others, those folks who've been dying from food, clothing, shelter, and what we call water filter, who's not doing in Africa in a proper way. And to me, this Pope is coming from heaven, and he's touching by the Spirit of the Lord to preach the Israelite philosophy to those out there who call themselves Christian. Those Christianity must today doing what the Father God wants us to do.
We have to turn to our fellow our guest here, Thomas, who has been following the Pope speech, and he's here today to listen to the Pope at the United Nations. I know he hasn't really made a strong statement on the nuclear weapons side, but being discussed right now, when you listen to the debate in Washington D.C., where they are talking about the Iran deal with the U.S. What do you think about the Iran deal, and how will you have expected the Pope to phrase that, to talk about were you expecting the Pope to talk about more of the nuclear weapon?
I come from a small, very specialized organization in Vienna, the CTBTO, whose mandate is to stop and to verify the end of all nuclear weapons testing. And the Pope did make a strong statement. He described nuclear weapons as one of the biggest threats to humanity and as an affront to the United Nations family. And I feel highly motivated that he takes this issue to heart and brings it to the people. And this is indeed something that is wonderful, I have to say. And the development in this direction is very positive. With the Iran deal, you have a triumph for multilateralism that shows that by working together we can actually confront one of the greatest threats that faces humanity, that of nuclear weapons. And the next step, that would be the signing and ratifying of the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty that would end all nuclear weapons explosions on this planet.
So in regards to what the Pope has been saying when it comes to showing love to our neighbors, just being able to be there helping the poor, how do you see this generation coming together and really listen? They have listened to this Pope. They have said, okay, I really want to do something about reaching out to my neighbor. Do you see his message of humanity really transforming human hearts?
I think it is. It is a message of peace. And if I may return again to our mandate, he says especially the development of weapons of mass destruction and of nuclear weapons, they are squandering resources that could be put to so much better use for development, for helping the poor, for helping the underfed. So it is a message of peace and of love. And yes, it is transforming us. I hope so.
Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope today that everyone that listened to the Pope, not just about his message today, this is what he has been preaching even before he came to the United States. I hope we all uphold the law of just showing love to one another and letting the peace that we all know that Jesus Christ preaching his word, and what the Pope earlier said today, that we all have to work in the footstep of Jesus, and I hope that we all got that message and we have to practice it too. Thank you for joining us. This is AfricaConnect reporting live from the United Nations. I have to introduce our special guest. He's the Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Kaduna State, by Mr. Bala. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much.
I will say that what was so important, what was it important for you to be at the United Nations today, to listen to the Pope speak today?
Well, actually, I was here for a number of reasons. First, I accompanied my president, Muhammadu Buhari, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who is here to also deliver a speech and to key into the sustainable development goals which the United Nations is committed to, and also to hold a side event on behalf of my own state that is again all about keying our own state, which has taken a lead in the sustainable development goals. So it's quite nice, it's quite an opportunity to also be here at a time the Pope was also here to the United Nations to make a very, very historic speech.
Thank you. I know my partner here he is just anxious to ask you one question. I will let you.
Oh, definitely, Excellency. Yesterday, G77 held on a wonderful meeting with all the countries come from Africa, also China, for developing countries in Africa. What is Nigeria's position in that meeting?
Well, I wasn't here yet. I just came in, and like I said, I have been very specific about the program I'm here to attend. But the important thing I know about Nigeria is that Nigeria is prepared, particularly under the present government, to key in and domesticate any convention that is intended to bring about positive change to the lives of the poor people, particularly those that live in the rural areas. So be it the MDGs as it were before, or the scale up to the SDGs, Nigeria will always be committed, and that is why my president is here. He is here to key into the arrangements that seek to scale up the MDGs to the SDGs. We are also committed to peace, full coexistence of our people, to create a peaceful environment where our people will thrive in their businesses and in the things that make them great people and make them useful to themselves, to the community, to the country, and to the world at large.
In other words, it is almost 570 days for the girls in Boko Haram. Did your government try to do some tremendous efforts to make sure those girls is released?
As you are aware, with the coming in of this present government, the issue of insecurity, particularly in the Northeast, has been taken more proactively, much more seriously, with greater commitment. The president, on assuming power, made a very clear statement, and that is the order that the war on Boko Haram, at least the military side of it, should be concluded. And indeed, as you are aware, the whole thing is being fizzled out, and the next target is to get at the girls. We are hoping, by the grace of God, that those girls will be found alive and in good health. But as for getting the Boko Haram insurgency routed out, that is a certainty. As we speak, the forest where the insurgents have used as a hiding place is being combed out thoroughly. And not only that, in all other parts of the country where insurgents have been coming up, where banditry, particularly in the area of cattle rustling and other crimes, you will see that this government is being very, very proactive. Only recently, as soon as we assumed office, the Kamufu forest in Kaduna State that shares boundaries with 6 other states was a hiding place for bandits who were before now rustling cattle, killing people, kidnapping people. Now, the government of Kaduna State has led other governments of the neighboring states to go into a military operation in that forest with the support of the president. And most of, if not all, the cattle that were rustled and hidden there have been realized, and a lot of the bandits have been taken out. We are only now concerned about the expanded activities of those bandits, some of whom have escaped into some neighboring states. And the government and the security agencies are not sleeping at all. They are doing all it takes to make sure that this issue of insurgency is brought to an end.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, and I hope that everyone watching today will go to his state and his policy to read more about what the policy of the government of Nigeria is, and the policy of your own state is. Thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure.
Thank you very much.
This has really been an historic visit to the United States. For the first time, the Pope Francis came to United States, not just United States, in Cuba. He came to Cuba and came to Washington, D.C., speaking before the Congress. And in his words and with all his speech, he has reminded not just only the political leaders, just everyone that have been listening to his speech. I think he has awoken something in every spiritual leader to see it's not just about calling on God's name, that we all need to strive for a better living for every human being. And this has truly, I would say, has been to me a very special moment to see this, not just because we are in a beautiful sunny day in the United Nations, but the message of the Pope. I will quote one of his words today, speaking before the General Assembly celebrating the 70 years anniversary of the United Nations. Quoting from His Holiness today in his own word, in time, it seems that our work and effort fail to produce no fruit. We all need to remember we are all followers of Jesus Christ, which is a powerful and such a powerful line from him today. Not just about what do you think about? It's not just the holiness today. Seeing the Malala speaking today, Shakira even performed, and Angelique Kidjo performed. What do you take away from all his message and all the performance today?
It was a tremendous effort. Pope Francis has to come all the way to Vatican and Europe to come to speak to the world leaders to let them know this gravity need to be stopped for the poor who need lights and the salt, who need food and clothing who need everything like health to take care their needs. And also he let them know the hypocrites, they need to change their ways. They need also to represent their countries, to represent their people. Represent their people seem they're supposed to having for those people what they want. And also Pope Francis allowed the world to understand the Father spiritual needs Jesus Christ been asking when he was in the earth more than 2,000 years ago. He spoke about people who left behind. And this Pope, as a Jesuit, he also known for the men who usually keep themselves really what they call that. It's a Pope down to earth. It's like he don't need any fancy car, any fancy clothing, any fancy dish. As you know, when he went to the city of Washington, he also they invited him in a gathering for a special ceremony. He said, "God, listen, guys, listen. And I'm not looking to sitting down in a fancy ceremony with you guys. I need to go and sit with the poor and eat with the poor." And that's what he came to this fancy building. As you know, we've been live for 70 years. Those leaders every year have to gathering themselves together, try to rip off all those country with those goods those countries have from the natural resources to fulfill their pocket. They don't also want to change poverty all over around the globe. That's what the Pope here to say to the entire world to understand his prophecy. He's gonna be a Pope who's gonna go straight to his legacy very soon.
And also, when he was speaking before the Congress yesterday in Washington, D.C., he reminded the policymakers again about the one issue that has been a very, very hot topic, which is the immigration, talking about himself being a son of immigrants. And I hope that the Congress, that they really listen to what he had to say and make the immigration reform, the debate that he has been, the rhetoric in calling the kids of immigrant names, being shaming them. I believe that me as an immigrant as well, we all came to this country not just to destroy this country. So many of us came to this country for a better life, and we hope that the message of the holiness really will start a conversation that will really change the immigration reform, that will make the being the White House or being the people running for the president now to really bring forth a reform, immigration reform, not just saying that they use it every year. We see them use it as a campaign stop mode. A campaign stop saying, oh, they are going to do this, they are going to do that, just to get they will say the Latino community on board with them. We hope that His Holiness really changed the conversation, and everyone that really listened yesterday will see this as not just, these are human beings. The immigrants that come to this country, they are human beings like you. They are like just what the Pope said yesterday. But for more of the United Nations, the celebration of the sustainable development, just keep watching Africa Connect. We are going to be here. We are not going anywhere. Are you going anywhere?
I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying with African Connect all day, all long.
We are just going to be reporting right here from the United Nations. Whatever you need, any news, whatever, just reach out to us. You can send us an email or tell us what you want to hear at info@africaconnect.com. I am Oman from African Connect.
And Hans Dorlin from African Connect.